Hey everyone. In this video, we're going to be looking at part 3. This is part 3 of this little tutorial. We are making a computer terminal in Fusion 360 for Dr. Mindbender. So we've already done a couple of things. I'll show you that in just a second. So if you haven't watched part 1 and part 2, I would recommend watching part 1 and then watching part 2 and then watching this one, part 3. Now in this one today, we are going to be looking at or looking to make this set of computer screens and probably this keyboard as well. So the first video that we made on this, I made the stand along with the tables. Then in the second video, we added some details to these tables. And now in this third video, we are going to make some computer screens. So hopefully you will enjoy this. We'll see how it goes. Long story short, I had all of this created in Fusion 360 and I lost all of my work. So when I went back to make the computer terminal, I decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and record this. So for anybody that wants to learn a little bit more about Fusion 360. Now, I will say, first of all, I am not an expert. I have only been using Fusion 360 for about a month at the time of this video. And so that should be encouraging to you because I think I'm making some interesting things and some things that definitely can be 3D printed and used in your toy dioramas for photography or just for displays. And I've only been using Fusion 360 for a month or so. So I've learned a lot, but there's still a lot that I need to learn. So I'm giving the disclaimer that I'm not an expert. There are probably some things that I am going to do that some other experts in Fusion 360, some other CAD experts will say, if you do it this way, it's easier. Or if you do it this way, it's faster. Or what you're trying to do, there's a tool for that. And I would love to hear comments. If you see that, if you know more than I do, comment. Share with everybody else. Anybody that's watching this hopefully is interested in making something like this, and we can all learn together. So that's our goal for today. So let's jump right into Fusion 360. There we go. So here is what we have so far. We've got our base, we have our tables, a couple of like circular pie piece tables, and then we've got this cylinder table over here as well. I'm not going to go back and mention too many things that we did in the first two videos. So if you want to learn how we got to this point, please go back and watch the first two videos. So let's start off with going back to what we had before. We're going to make this stand. We're just going to start off with a rectangular stand that starts down here in the base and goes tall, and then we'll work from there. All right, here we go. So I'm going to draw a sketch, a rectangular sketch. And the plane that I want to work on is the top of the base. The nice thing is you can highlight the plane that you want to draw this sketch. And in Fusion 360, the idea is that you draw a sketch in 2 dimensions and then you create it and then you extrude it or manipulate it so that it becomes 3 dimensions. So I'm going to draw a rectangle, and I definitely want this rectangle to be centered here. And I think I want to go, the nice thing is I've got the snap button on. So I'm going to snap to these little squares, this grid. I think what I want to do is make it about that size right there. So if you see up at the top in blue, it says 50 millimeters. So I'm going to go ahead and type in 50 to lock that in, hit the tab button. I do want this one to be 10 millimeters. So I'm going to hit 10, hit enter to lock that in. So those dimensions have been locked in at this point. I like where it's at. That's pretty much a recreation of what I had before. And I'm going to click on Finish Sketch. All right, there we go. So now this blue rectangle is the sketch that I put on top of this base. All right. Well, one of the things, I'm going to go hit the home button here. One of the things that I've done with these tables the table over here on the left and this little set of tables on the right, is I created them in such a way that they are their own piece. So this can be removed. If I go over here to bodies and open that folder a little bit, this is my table on the left. I can click on this little eyeball and it makes it disappear. And what you can see is I made this little cutout on the base so that if eventually I want to remove this table on the left and put a different type of table or a different, I don't know, different creation of some sort that can go on that side, you can use your imagination on that. I've created it so that it can be removed and something else can be put in there. I did the same thing for the right-hand side. So all of that can be removed and something different can be put in there. Well, I think I want to do the exact same thing with this computer terminal so that the computer stand, along with all of the screens and the keyboard, can be removed and something else can be put in its place. At this point in time, I don't know what, but that's what I'm going to do. All right, so the first thing I want to do is extrude, which is a tool you'll use a ton. I want to extrude this little rectangle, but I don't want to. If I click on it, I highlight it. I don't want to extrude it out this direction just yet. I want to make the cutout on the base, and then I will make the stand itself. So I actually want this extrusion to become a cut, and I want to go down into the base. Now I don't want to go too far into the base. This base is, I think, 5 millimeters thick. So I don't want to cut all the way through the bottom of the base. So I think I'm going to go and change this to -3. Now this is just a test. If I get to the point where this doesn't work and this needs to be deeper when I test print it in 3D, then I will just make it a little bit deeper. I'll go back and make the cut a little bit deeper. So you can see that when I move this from being an extrusion to being a cut, let's change it back to -3. Over here on the right-hand side, it says cut. So I'm cutting into my base, and that is what I want. So I'm going to hit OK. And there, if we zoom in a little bit, you can see that we have a cut right there. Okay. All right. So there's our cutout for our stand. Let me zoom out. All right, now what I'm going to do is extrude again. Click right here, and I want to select that piece at the bottom of that cutout, and now I am going to extrude up. Now I want this to be a little bit taller. I cannot for the life of me remember how tall I made this cutout right here. But if I think about it, I would like, looking at this picture, I'm thinking that, the G.I. Joe Classified series is a 6-inch line. I'm thinking I want right about the top of this screen to be around 6 inches. And so if that's about 6 inches, I probably want to go about another inch taller than that, maybe 7 inches tall. So Google is your friend, and I'm going to type in inches to millimeters. And I want this to be about 7 inches tall. So that's about 177 millimeters. I'm probably going to go, I'm going to go somewhere between 180 and 200 millimeters just to see what, this looks like. So let's go back to Fusion 360. Let's start to extrude. Whoops. There we go. And I want to go, I said, let's look at 180 first. Well, that's definitely not tall enough. By the way, if you hold down the shift key and you click on your middle button on your mouse, you can orbit around your piece. That is definitely not tall enough. So now I'm going to go to 200, and I still don't think that that is tall enough. That is definitely, I just don't see it as being tall enough for me. I don't know. Oh well, let's see. I'm just going to look at it like this, and then let's go back and look at the picture so I can see if I can eyeball this. When I did this originally, Yeah, I think it just needs to be a little bit taller. I'm going to go to 220. I'm going to go to 220 and may just live with that. Okay, I think that looks, let's see what 250 looks like. You're probably talking to your computer screen like, just pick a number. I like 250 better. I'd rather it be a little bit too tall than a little bit too short. All right, so I'm going to go to 250. All right, and I do not want, here's a key to this. Remember, I want this to be something that I can remove. So over here on the right, I do not want to click on join. I want this to be its new own body. So I'm going to click on new body, click on that, hit OK, and there it is. Now, I want to give this a name. So I'm going to scroll down. Is this body number 17? I believe that it is. When you click on body 17 in the list of things inside that folder, this piece highlights. You can, whoops. Okay, there it is. So I'm going to right click and rename this as screen stand. There we go. Screen stand is good. There we go. All right. I want a little bit more. I want to clean this up a little bit. So I'm going to hide the names of all of the body parts. That sounds weird. Okay. So that's what we've got so far. All right. So let's see. Let's go back to our picture. Where is it? There it is. I know that it's a little bit difficult to see. Like I said, I lost all of my work, so this is the only picture I have to go with. You can see that this kind of extends out a little bit. So we're going to extend the top of this stand out a little bit to make this top, to connect this top computer screen. So here we hide that there. Here we go, right there. All right, in order to do that, I'm going to go back and I am going to sketch, and I want to sketch on this surface, the front side of this computer screen. I want to sketch something up here at the top, and I'm going to extrude it out. So I'm going to zoom in to this area right here, and I'm going to click on rectangle. And I think what I want to do is maybe start right about here. I think this will be maybe from here and this top piece all the way around like this. Again, all of this is just, just being creative and kind of creating things on the fly. All right, so I've got the snap button on, so it should snap to these sides, and it looks like it does. I'm going to let go. I clicked and dragged. Oh, and then I've got to click on this corner right there. All right, so here's my rectangle. Now, the only reason that the left side, the right side, and the side on the top is not blue is because it's connected and in line with the top of my stand there. So I feel good about all of that. I like where it's at. I'm going to click on Finish Sketch. Okay, so I'll go to the Home button, zoom in here. You can see, notice that now if I hover over this little rectangle that I just created, I can highlight just this rectangle. Now there's another rectangle down here, not going to mess with that. I'm going to extrude this one out. So here we go. I'm going to click on extrude. I'm going to select that rectangle. I'm going to extrude it out. And let's go, I'm going to go a little bit further than you might expect. I'm going to go 30 millimeters. I like 30. That looks good. I do want to join it. I want this to be a part of the stand. So I'm going to leave this as join. I'm going to click OK. So there we go. Now, if we go back to our picture, it might be difficult to see because you can't see from behind, but this computer screen is angled. Okay, it's kind of angled back a little bit. So I want the backside of this computer screen to be flush against the backside of this stand or the front side of this stand. So going back to Fusion 360, I'm going to use a tool underneath of Utilities, underneath Modify, and I'm going to change it. I'm going to use the tool called Draft. All right, so I had to skip ahead a little bit so that I could remember how to do what I want to do next. I want to take this front face and I want to angle it a little bit. So I am going to select modify and then draft. And it asks me pull direction and the faces. And so you've got to select a pull direction. You have to select faces and then one side, two side, or symmetric. We're going to leave this as one side. So the first thing we select is pull direction. Now, this is a little bit counterintuitive, at least in my opinion, maybe because it's just the way that I think. I'm going to click on this bottom piece and you can see here that it gives me an arrow. Well, I don't want to pull things. I'm not going to pull in the downward direction. I actually want to click on this to go the other direction because I want things to move up here and not down here. So the next thing I need to do is I need to select the face that I want. Well, I want to select this front face. This is the side that I want to angle back this direction. So I'm going to click on that face. And now it gives me this option. I can either pull things up and down, but what I really want to do is work with this angle here. And if you see, if I drag this angle, it will change the angle of that particular face. And I think the last time I did this, I went with a 35-degree angle. I'm going to orbit around and look at this from the side. That looks like a pretty good angle for my computer screen for someone to look at. If their head is right in this area, they're looking up at that computer screen just like that. So I'm going to go with that 35-degree angle. I'm going to click OK. And now my piece right there, the top side is angled the way that I want it right here. Okay, I hope that 35 degrees is a good angle to go with. All right, so now let's put a screen on there. Whoops. Let's come over here and we're going to draw a sketch. And we want to be on this face. So I'm going to click right there. And you notice that it always wants to center itself. So I'm going to pan. By the way, just in case you don't know, if you click on your center mouse button, click and drag, you can pan around. All right, so here we go. I'm on the right plane. And this screen, let's go back and look at the picture again. This screen is actually a little bit taller than the part that it is connected to. It doesn't necessarily start at the top of that, I don't think. We'll take a look at it, but we'll draw the rectangular sketch for that screen first. So here we go, rectangle. And I'm thinking I want the screen. I'm going to start right there. I'm going to click and drag and bring it out to about there. 200 looks good, but I'm not sure. I like the width of it. Let's go 200. And then as far as the height of it here, if I went to 40, I'm a little bit taller than the top of my stand. Let's make it 50. So 200 by 50. We've got that kind of locked in. Whoops. Let's hit finish sketch. And there we go. So that kind of gives us an idea of what the sketch will look like, of what the size of the computer terminal will look like. So I think I like that. Okay, I'm going to go with it. That was 200 by 50. All right. So now at this point in time, I want to extrude this out. So I'm going to click on the extrude button. I'm going to click on my sketch. I'm going to extrude this out and 10 millimeters. Oh, one thing to keep in mind. Okay. See how when I extruded this, it left a little hole in the middle. I don't know if you can see that very well, but there, where this rectangle, this gray rectangle did not get extruded out. So I'm going to hit cancel and let's extrude this again. I click on my extrude button. I click on this rectangle, but notice that the rectangle in the middle here has not been highlighted. I'm going to hold the shift key down, click on that rectangle as well. Now the entire computer screen sketch that I made will be extruded. All right, I'm going to start with 10, but I think 10, is that a little bit too thick? Let's see what 5 looks like. 5 looks like that. 5 millimeters. I like that 5 millimeters, but I want to create a screen a little bit. So I think what I'm going to do is go with 7. Let's go with 7 for the width of our computer screen. All right, there we go. I do want to join it, so I'm going to leave this join selected over here on the right hand side. I'm going to click OK, and now we have our computer screen right there. Okay. So I think the last thing I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to put a border, a little border indentation around the computer screen, because right now it just looks like a panel, and I don't want it to be a panel. What I want is I want the little bevel, if you will, around the screen. So I'm going to do, that'll be the last thing I do in this video. And then in my next video, I'll add the other screens. I'm going to try to keep this one a little bit shorter, especially seeing as how it took me a little bit of time to figure out how to do use the one tool, the drafting tool. So, all right, here we go. So I'm going to draw a sketch on this plane, pan so that I can see my workspace, zoom in just a little bit. And I am going to draw a rectangle again. And I really want this to be a little bit, trying to think what I want. I would like to have 2 millimeters all the way around. So if we remember right, if I zoom in a little bit more, you can see here how those little boxes, the grid gets a little bit smaller. So this right here is about 2. This would be a 2 by 2. So I want to start in that spot. Now, if I remember correctly, the width of my original was 200. So if I take 2 millimeters off of the left side and the right side, that'll take me down to 196. And the height of my original panel was 50. So if I take 2 millimeters off of the top and 2 millimeters off of the bottom, that'll take me to 46. So I'm going to I'm going to click and drag this, start to drag it, but I'm going to go ahead and just type it in. It should be 196, the tab button, and 46. Let's zoom out a little bit more. And there we go. That looks pretty good. 196 from left to right, 46 from top to bottom. I've got a 2 millimeter bevel around the outside. I'm satisfied with that. I'm going to click on Finish Sketch, and there it is in blue. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I am going to extrude, but actually cut out the screen itself. So let's select Extrude. I'm going to select this panel in the middle. Notice that the blue and the 2 millimeter bevel around the outside has not been highlighted. I want to extrude this into the piece. I made it 7 millimeters thick. So now I want to indent it or cut into the piece. Let's see what -2 looks like. I think -2 is going to be pretty good, because then I kind of have 2 millimeters, a 2 millimeter bevel all the way around that is cut 2 millimeters into the piece. I do want this to be a cut. I'm going to click on OK. And there we go. You can now see I've got my nice little 2 millimeter bevel all the way around the screen. All right, I will show one more thing and then stop this video, and then I'll make the other screens in a different video. Here we go. I'm going to start with, I want to make these corners of this screen rounded off just a little bit. So I'm going to use this tool right here called fillet. I don't know if it's fillet or fillet. I think it's fillet. I want to fillet this. So I'm going to select this edge, right there. Sometimes you got to zoom in to get the edge that you want, but I want this edge right here. So I'm going to select that one. Then I'm going to also select, hold down the shift key, that one. Now both of those are in blue, so both of them have been selected. I'm going to pan around here or orbit around here, and I want to select this one as well. Hold the shift key down. There we go. And hold the shift key down and select that one. All right. Now you can see that all four, they're all in blue, of those edges have been selected. I'm going to select this button right here, and it gives me this little arrow so that I can grab and move it. And see how if I move it into the piece, it curves that particular corner. Now, I don't want to do too much with this. I actually only want to go 1 millimeter. If I click on 1 millimeter, it gives it just enough of a rounded edge for my purposes. Okay, you can see it a little bit better up here. I will kind of go straight on. Let me go straight on a little bit better. There we go. So there's our rounded edge or rounded corner, and that's all I want. I'm going to select 1 millimeter, hit OK, and I'll zoom back out again. And now you can see if you look at all four corners of this screen, they have been rounded off just a little bit. All right. Well, that's all we're going to do for today. This video is getting a little bit longer than I intended it to be anyways. So the next video, part 4, we will make the other screens. We'll round those corners off. And then probably, if we have time, we'll do the keyboard. Whoops. We'll do the keyboard. And if we don't do the keyboard in that video, we'll make another video. So hopefully you're enjoying this. If you are, give it a like, share it with somebody else. If you want to follow me on Instagram, you can follow me on Instagram. I am Star Wars Makes Things Better on Instagram. I take pictures of my toys, G.I. Joe, Star Wars, Transformers, all kinds of things. I'm always creating things as well. So I would love to hear from you. I would love to join up with you. Maybe we do a collaboration on some pictures. I'm in a couple of different collaboration groups, and I love just taking pictures of my toys. It's just a fun hobby, and a lot of people have been supportive of me over the last couple of years that I've been doing this, and I would love to be able to help and support you a little bit as well. So once again, I am Star Wars Makes Things Better on Instagram, and hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully you have a great day.